Hey Karen, how you doing?
Great. How are you?
Good. I don't think we've ever met, so
I know.
nice to meet you. Yeah.
See your face.
Yeah, oh, that's what's up. And China is here too. How you doing, China?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm cool. I'm good. Good,
That's
good.
great.
Glad
We'll
to
give
be
it
here.
about 2 more minutes before we get rolling.
Awesome.
Dope.
How's everybody doing?
Dope. We're good.
Great.
Good. And week is almost over, so I am good. I'm cool with it. Yeah.
That's
Has
how I
anybody
feel.
had trouble? Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
I was about to say, anybody had trouble keeping up with the days of the week since we've been at home?
Oh,
Yeah.
easily.
Yes.
Of course.
Hey Siri, what day is it? Because
Literally.
I know, I can't believe we're already in the middle of July, basically.
I didn't think it was going to last this long, honestly.
Yeah.
it shouldn't have lasted this long, but
Yeah.
that's a
It's still
completely
lasting,
different conversation for a different day. You know
right?
what I mean? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But
I
it's
remember
wild.
at the beginning of all this going, God, we're going to be out of the office for 2 weeks. How am I going
Right.
to do this? 2 weeks.
You're
Now,
right.
5 months later, and I'm like, yep, still in the attic.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Good and comfortable too at home. Like, man, are we ever going back?
Right.
Oh, all right, cool. Yeah, just shifting around.
Okay, I think we can go ahead and get started.
Mhm.
Hi, everyone. I'm Monique Lewis. I am the founder of Culture Fusion Agency, and I'm excited to have you guys join our Music for Film series today. This series was developed by Karen Lamberton, who is the EVP of Film and Music over at RCA. Karen, did you want to give a kind of a brief overview of why you wanted to do this, or?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that, Monique. It's been great working with you and China. I really appreciate everything. And Brian, we're so happy to have you as our very first victim/participant. So thank you for that.
Oh,
And thank
I'm
you
the
guys.
first.
You're the first one.
Let's
We wanted to
go.
start high. We wanted to set the bar really high.
All right, cool. I'll take
Um,
it.
And thank you all for joining us. Again, my name is Karen. I work at RCA Records. I've been running the sync and the soundtrack album department there for almost 20 years. And I've been with Sony for most of my career working in this very specific area of matching picture to film. And with all that has happened with the recent social unrest and all this stuff that's going down in the world, I sort of started thinking personally about what can I do other than donate money, other than do things that don't require my heart and soul. And I get it. I'm a white suburban middle-aged woman living in Montclair, New Jersey, and I want to be respectful and do the right thing, but I also want to do something good. And I was able to find Monique through one of my colleagues, and we developed this concept of trying to get a better pipeline with more diversity for the community that I'm in within film and TV to get things rolling in the right direction. So I found Monique, and here we are. So thank you for joining us. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you guys.
Thanks, Karen. China?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm China Marie, and I'm the co-founder of Culture Fusion Agency. Our agency is, for those that are new, it's all about being able to create a platform that offers beneficial relationships and experiences. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Aaliyah and also Julian. I'm going to get started.
Oh, Brian, before we get started, I would love for you to give back some background information about what you do, and just so people are more aware of what's going on with you.
My name is Brian Vickers. I currently work as the music supervisor for The Hive, which is Disney's in-house trailer team. So I work on all the theatrical projects, everything that has ranged from both of the Star Wars films to both of the Avengers films. We did Incredibles, we did Black Panther, you name it. If it's a Disney project, we probably have worked on the marketing for it. I specifically mentioned the marketing. And just to give a little bit of background, I'm seeing everybody talk, And I'm like, oh, that's what's up. This school, that school. I did go to Howard, so HU, you know. I originally am from Birmingham, Alabama. So, you know, my mom went to Miles College, you know, like I grew up knowing HBCU. So this is a special thing. I grew up doing music, got in the choir at like age 5. You know, how parents will like make up numbers. They're like, oh, you started singing when you were like 2. All right, cool. But started singing early on, did a lot of choirs around town, really developed a big love for music. Eventually, I did it in high school as well, more choirs, you know, elevated level. Get to college, I was a vocal jazz major, vocal performance with jazz studies major at Howard. Did 4 years there, and then went down to Full Sail University where I did the associates for recording arts. And yeah, then moved out here to LA 2008. I've worked for a couple companies since then. From Buena Murray, you guys would know them because of Keeping Up with the Kardashians and The Real World and Project Runway, a couple other shows, to a couple libraries. I worked for BMG Production Music, and I worked for Hidden Beach when I was in college. We'll get into all that stuff later, I'm sure. But yeah, now I'm at Disney.
Awesome. Aaliyah and Julian, you guys can go ahead and get started.
All right.
Hey.
Hello, my name is Aaliyah Wallace, and I am a junior music with emphasis in sound recording technology major at Virginia State University, and I come from Reston, Virginia, principal instrument violin. It's very nice to meet you.
Sonic Boom. Nice.
Hey everybody, my name is Julian Rucker. I'm a senior music major from Tampa Bay, Florida, and I go to the wonderful Morehouse College. I have an emphasis in composition, but I am also a voice principal, so I hope to do some stuff there.
Perfect. That's great.
Alrighty. So the first question I have for you, Brian, is I actually got accepted into Howard University, both to the university as well as the music program, and passed my audition. And I had a question. How vital was your time at Howard University and Full Sail University in preparing you for where you are in your career now, and as well as your other career goals, like from a scale of indispensable to I just have a lot of debt now?
I mean, both of those are the case. Like, yeah, you need it, but shoot, I am still paying that joint every week. Shout out to Navient. But the time at both schools was so necessary because you're getting 2 different things. You know, when I was at Howard, it was 4 years as a music major. So you're literally learning scales, you're learning sharps, flats, you're learning how to, you know, how to actually put arrangements together, how to talk to the band and this, that, and the third. So that part was the valuable part that teaches you creativity. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, at Full Sail, it was learning how to run a studio. Like what is a compressor? Why is the compressor important? How do you adjust the gain, and what mics, you know, the difference in that. So both of those things are super necessary. I think for me, I would say they're necessary across the board, but specifically as a music supervisor, I regularly spend most of my time communicating with composers and communicating with, you know, labels such as, you know, RCA or an Atlantic or Warner or whoever. So I have to know the language when I'm speaking to both sides. I have to know how to adequately explain when I'm talking to composers. Something in that third bar doesn't sound right. You know, let's adjust this. Or if I'm talking to someone else, like, maybe, you know, you should bring down the, you know, the gain on this mic. So both of those things are very crucial.
Hey, Brian, I have a question here. I noticed on your LinkedIn that your career went from being a musician and you ended up into this, your current role as a music supervisor, which is a very big shift, standing beside the table. How exactly did you get to that part in your career? And was there a defining moment when you knew that music supervision was really what you wanted to do?
That's an interesting story, which I always tell people, don't be like me, ? In a sense that some of it was honestly by chance, realistically. Like when I was at Howard, my second year, I got an internship for a label. It was for Hidden Beach. If you guys don't know them, that's Jill Scott's label, you know. And when I was there, I noticed, you know, like all of my friends were some of the most amazing musicians, and that's great. You know, they'll leave, they'll probably get signed to Blue Note or Concord, happily ever after, right? But the difference was I knew like when you come out, it's going to be really, really tough. You should supplement your creative side with something else. So after I got this internship with Hidden Beach, I began to hear people talk about certain things that I did not have any idea about. Like I didn't understand what it meant to hit certain markets, you know, like we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Cause I'm a musician. And at the time I was with a lot of people who were marketing people and who were, you know, in all of these other fields. So that began to open my mind up. Like you really should work on learning something else to supplement it. So if you go perform, cool, you know, you can go sing at clubs and do this, that, and the third or whatever. And to all the musicians, and by the way, in the chat, please give me a shout out if you, what your role is, if you're a producer or if you're a composer or if you want to be a supervisor or whatever, you know, just put that in there. But I mentioned that because, yeah, I eventually hit a point where like senior year, all my friends were like, oh man, I got a job at this company. I got a job at that company. And I'm like, oh shoot, that's cool. What am I going to do? So I ended up going back to school, like I said, to supplement that. When I got down to Full Sail, that's when everything kind of shifted. Like this business thing would be a good fit because you can blend both of those things. And now that I work in supervision, I have a little bit more of a background that a lot of people might not have as much, like being able to actually communicate, you know, all right, let's talk about scales or let's talk about, you know, chords or structure or any of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was a gradual shift, but it was necessary.
Mhm. All right. So my next question is, as some of us are aspiring music supervisors and you are in this field, and for those who don't have experience in this field, what advice would you have? And what should people do in order to be able to achieve their dream?
That's a great question. First of all, I always like to talk about what music supervision is not, because there's an overwhelming misunderstanding, I think, about what the responsibilities are. Most people are like, oh man, you just sit there and you listen to music all day and, you know, that's cool, blah, blah, blah. Yes, but not really. Like for the job of music supervisor, yes, it is very good to have an understanding of not only the stuff that's current, but stuff that is old. You know, listen to everything. And you know how you run to people and they're like, oh, I listen to everything. No, you don't. Nobody listens to everything. Know what your strengths and weaknesses are, but you should have a very thorough understanding of as much stuff as you possibly can. No lie. We were working on a project earlier this year, last year, that we are still working on. And one of the tasks were to, all right, guys, we want to find music that is in the region of like Southeast Asia. Okay, cool.
And it's on the scales.
Yeah, like I mean, yeah, but we have to find pre-existing music from that region. So it's like, okay, cool. Let's see what we got. And then it even got more specific. Like we're not talking about, you know, China. We're not talking about Japan. Like very specific. Like I'm like, oh shoot. So we're going like Laos or we going Indonesia? But you have to be very specific. And I think that part is invaluable. That organization is very key. And I think that part is invaluable because people on the trailer side, it's a lot faster than TV. Like just to give a super overall view, my job as a music supervisor is to find music to fit our projects, whatever they may be. We specify in trailers, but we also do content spots, behind the scenes, featurettes, all of that kind of stuff. We worked on Hamilton as well. So when we're working on a project like Hamilton, you're not only working on the trailer, but you're also working on these like small pieces to actually help you connect more with the material to make you more interested in watching it. So those things are invaluable. Collaboration is key. Ego has to go out the door. You know, I know a lot of people think I chose that song and that's me. No, like we have clients that we have to be beholden to. Sometimes you might be working with the client who you know, their kid is really into Pop Smoke. And you're like, but Pop Smoke doesn't fit here. You have to really know you have to know how to work, and you have to know how to work with people. You can't be egotistical about it. But I do think that those things are incredibly invaluable. Knowing the music, of course, but knowing stuff that is long before you, knowing how to research, how to be very efficient. Cue sheets, we can talk briefly about cue sheets, but I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. But cue sheets are like the music script for a project. So if it is a trailer or a TV show or whatever, this outlines every piece of music that is used. So your job, if you are interested in music supervisor, you would learn stuff like that as a music coordinator or an intern. So for a lot of you guys that are curious, like, oh, I want to go into music supervision, that would likely be your foot in the door, either an intern or as a music coordinator, and then you work. Because every job that I've had, that's been my thing. You get in as a coordinator, you work your way up. I know that's a lot, and I hope I at some point answered the question, because I know that was a lot of stuff.
You did a lot of great stuff. Thank you.
Yes.
Speaking of that, and particularly the way that work has to be done now, with all of your experience in all the various positions, because you have a phenomenal career listed, what do you think we should do during and after COVID-19?
As a society, you mean? Or
I know, right? Yeah. I know,
Particularly
right?
in the industry.
Man, you know, I think you're gonna get a different answer depending on who you ask. But personally, as someone who operates in a creative field, I think that, you know, I don't want to be one of those people like no excuses, but this is really the time where I think a lot of people should delve into new things and begin creating. You know, I put a status up on Twitter the other day, and I was dead serious that I think, like, I would not be surprised if this year we saw the absolute most Christmas albums that we've ever seen. You know, because like this would be the time. If you're working in sync, by the way, just for everyone who is interested in getting their stuff licensed, now would be the time to pitch Christmas music. You pitch in July, because people aren't gonna, like, you can't use anything in November or December because that's Christmas and that's when these spots are already airing. So now is actually a pretty ideal time to not only work on your project, but have it like done by the end of the month, so you could begin pitching it to people like, hey guys, you know, here's my Christmas music, da 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 da. But I do think that right now that's the most important thing, that if you are a creative, you should create. You should be listening to things that might not be as familiar. And you should work on learning your voice, learning your sound. When it comes to sync, unfortunately, a lot of people confuse two big things. This song is trash or this song is whack with this song doesn't work for the project. Those two things are so different. You know, realistically, a trash song could fit in a project and vice versa. But I think that you have to learn your voice, and that is so key. Knowing, it's a great Miles Davis quote, that it takes a long time to learn how to play like yourself. And I do think that that is so essential. Like, learn the things that your strengths, your weaknesses, run things by other people, you know, have a circle that will teach you that. But I think that's really the biggest thing you can do right now, because things are eventually going to open back up. You just want to be ready to go by the time they do.
Okay. So my next question is, how do you think your your job as a music supervisor will evolve over time? But not only music supervision, like also your other positions, like proofreading, being an audio engineer, like film, music, education, A&R. Like, I know that that's a lot, but
Yeah. Let me say that again. Let me make sure I got that one. Can you repeat that?
yes, I asked how do you think music supervision will evolve in the near future? But I also wanted to add in like your other positions within the music industry.
Yeah. You know, well, for one, we're already seeing it change via the change of medium. You know, we went from these theatrical projects like, coming soon to a theater near you, to streaming. And there's so many more venues and spaces for content now. Where it was ordinarily theaters, now you have, you got Netflix, you got Hulu, Disney Plus, you got Peacock, you got, HBO Max. Like, it's so many different places. So that means that there will be more opportunities for people who create music to get their stuff placed. But as a soup, I think that also changes things, because the legalese changes as well. Like, there's a difference in how, SAG might treat a theatrical production versus how they treat something that's streaming. I know that's a big conversation that's happening right now. I don't know if you guys are familiar with SAG and any of the unions, whether that's the AFM. I firmly recommend you guys look into all of those, whether it is, SAG or the AFM or Grammys even. Like, please look into all of those things. But I do think that that's a thing. I also know that realistically, technology is catching up. Like, I know that there's like a couple labels already have, I think Warner, I believe it was Warner, they already have like a AI system that kind of can either make hits or choose hits, or like, so that's a thing too that we keep in the back of our minds. But I don't worry about it too much, because you just do your job and you do what you can to make it stand out. So yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Wow. Yeah, that's a perspective. I forgot about the AI and everything. That really is.
Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, man, it's Terminator-y, a little
Uh,
Terminator-y. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of the future, what advice would you give to us now that you wish you would have had as a student?
Man, I wish I took piano classes when I was a kid. That would have been great. I like, instead of me just, I did the choir thing, which is fine, but my parents were like, no, we want to get you piano lessons. Like, no, man, that's corny. I don't want to play piano. I wish I knew how to play piano. It just helps everything. But if there were a piece of advice, just watch movies. If you guys are interested in sync, one thing growing up that I did that I'm so grateful for, didn't realize how important it was I watched an insane amount of media. Insane amount. Like, I watched, like, I still remember commercials from when I was a kid. I remember TV show jingles, like stupid stuff. But you watch that because it gives you a stronger vocabulary. You know what I mean? So if you want to really get an understanding of what supervisors are looking for and how to really convey emotion, because that's what you're going to do as a creator. Your job isn't to just make that song to try to fit something. You have to have an emotion to the song. And the way that you do that is literally to watch other projects, see the music that is landing in some of these spots. I think that's a big thing. Get as good as you can on the legal side and on the law side. Man, learn that stuff, guys, because it's changing, and it's changing in a hurry. And you don't want to be one of the people to get in these rooms and people are speaking and you don't understand what they're saying. So I always recommend have as thorough of an understanding of copyright as you can, of trademark. I'm sure you guys read the trades, but unfortunately, big situation going on with the group Lady Antebellum, but that's a trademark situation. You know what I mean? Like, so understanding those things so that you can avoid as many pitfalls, because those things happen. And also, one thing that I was told super early that I'm grateful for is network. Cliche is, yeah, hey, you need to network, whatever. But knowing how to network, how to be your genuine self and present your genuine self to people without it being corny or without it being fake or without it being, I'm just here to use you or whatever. Like, interact with people, because even now, as we're all in our homes, you can still find ways to collaborate with people and make some dope stuff. So yeah, I recommend those things.
Thank you.
So one of my final questions is, how did you go about landing your first internship in the industry? And I also wanted to ask, do you feel as though that your ethnicity, like being a Black man, possibly had some sort of influence of you either getting an internship or being denied one, or just in general, how do you feel as though that your ethnicity has came into play, or do you think it hasn't? And also, did you have any connections at the time that allowed you to land that internship?
No. That's the easy questions. No. I mean, because all right, backstory. When I got my first internship when I was a sophomore at Howard, like I mentioned. And the way that came about is I was at the time I was listening to like some Jill, whatever. And I was talking to a guy who also was a student. I think he was ahead of me a little bit. And he used to always just drop like nuggets. Smart cat. He was like, look, man, if you like these people so much, you should see if they do an internship. And I'm like, shoot, never thought about that. And that changed my entire trajectory. Because as a result of that, and once again, Hidden Beach was a black label. So it's not like I can go, hey, I'm black, hire me. What? Like everybody in there is black, so who cared? But the biggest thing was, like I said, it was understanding how the thing that I liked, who is it that I like? Who do I follow? What do I care about? If they have this artist, they probably have stuff that's dope as well. I always recommend that for people. Like, that's really one of the best ways. If you like a TV show, see who the production company is and see what else they're working on that you like and see if they're offering. Because when you can connect to the stuff emotionally, I think you'll end up doing better work. And I think that was really the biggest thing. But as far as race and gender and all of that goes, everything I've worked on in sync, I've been the one of the only black people, because it's just not a lot of black people in the field. I'm grateful that I got it. I know I got my first internship out here in LA. I got that as a result of Full Sail. And that was because I used to pester them. When I got out here, I was like, y'all, I do not want to work at Jack in the Box. Please send me something that is music. I don't care if I got to go sweep floors. I will. And I did. Like, I was working for a producer and I was sweeping the bathroom and I hated it, man. But once again, all of those things are relevant. Every piece of, everything that I've worked on, it's been a stepping stone for something else. So I firmly recommend if you like something, try to pursue them. See if they have, like, oh man, I like Disney. All right, well, see if they have internships. But also be specific, because a lot of people hit me up thinking that I work on the shows. Like, if you hit me up and go, man, I really like Blackish, I want to work. I'm like, I don't know anybody that works on there. I mean, I know cats, but that's not our team. That's not our department. So try to get as specific in your like as you can. I see there's a lot of people in here to do business stuff, and they do, all different types of things, which is amazing. Please, guys, collaborate with one another and see what that's like. Build your village right now, man. Because that's going to be a thing as well. That's, these collaborations are still a thing. Like, that's how some production houses have started. That's how some of these music pitching companies have started. So yeah.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One of my final questions. Well, it's also mixed with a question that was dropped in the chat, which is, what experiences have prepared you the most for your current role, but also how important has mentorship been to the success of your career?
What was the first question again? You asked, because I focused on the second one, I forgot the first one. You said my experiences, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Like I said, everything is relevant, man. Every single piece of everything that you're learning is relevant. Whether you want to go out as a musician, as a touring musician, or whether you want to work as a SVP of a label, it's all relevant. Like, I've heard so many stories of people who run their business based on how they had their first job. Like, man, I had a manager who Like, I kind of think of it that way. My first job was working at the Dollar Tree. And if you can imagine, my days used to be exhausting because we would get people to come in and say, how much is this? I'm like, well, it's $1, but it teaches you patience. You know what I mean? That same patience that you're going to need when you're dealing with clients that go back and forth. So it's all relevant, and I think that in any field, regardless, whether it's entertainment or out of entertainment, every single thing that you're going to go through is for a reason. I firmly believe. I grew up in church, so naturally I believe it's all relevant. It's all for a reason, believe in God firmly. So I'm like, God ain't gonna put you through some junk. It's just irrelevant. You understand? So I do believe that it's all usable one way or another. You just have to have the foresight to understand that even when you're going through something, it doesn't necessarily mean that that thing is the end. You know, whether you're at a job that you don't like or you're at an internship and you're like, oh, because every internship ain't gonna be great. Honestly, guys, they're not all great. I swear to you, they're not. But they will all teach you something. So you just have to acknowledge that and take it and grow from that when you get put on.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Aaliyah and Julian, did you guys have any other personal questions before we take some questions from the Q&A box? Kind of go ahead.
Yes.
I am trying so hard not to just burst out with questions. But my question for you was going to be, who are you listening to right now? Like, who is catching your ears right now?
It's always a fun question because I never have a good answer for it. It's just whatever's on Spotify. You know, I mean, I love a number of different. Clearly, I like jazz stuff. I just came across this cat named Ben Williams, and I'm like, oh shoot! And for all the DC people, he's DC. That's what's up. So he's dope. I mean, shoot, y'all name some people. Y'all would know better. Like it's harder for me to get into a lot of the younger rap, and that's when I get kind of old heady, like stay off my lawn a little bit. But I listen to it because I have to know what's going on. Like I still like, like a Vince Staples, or I still like JID and all that kind of stuff. But shoot, I don't know. What are you listening to? Let's try that, because I'll be like, oh yeah, they're dope, or oh, I'm not hip.
Of course, Esmeralda Spalding on occasion. I've been listening to a lot more. Thank you. She is mind-blowing. Also, Chloe X Halle. I really like their shift when with their new project, Ungodly Hour. Who else? Oh my gosh, Tyler the Creator. Solange. I'm trying to think of people who are obscure that you would.
Everybody, that's the funny thing. Everybody, when you say who do you listen to, people expect like the obscure stuff because that makes you cool. I'm like, yo, I listen to I love Bruno Mars, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I listen to the big stuff too. But yeah, that's fine. Whether it's obscure or whether it's big. Julia, who are you listening to?
I hope I don't butcher this, but mostly Tomoyo Otani. I'm a big fan of. I'm interested in film, video game, and musical theater. So I'm listening to Alan Menken every day. I'm listening to Stephen Sondheim. I'm listening to every Final Fantasy soundtrack ever made.
Dope.
It's really
good. My ringtone is the chime from Back to the Future, because that joint is just like my favorite thing ever. Yeah. Benny, I have no idea who Benny the Butcher is. Thank you, Arthur. I have no idea who West Side. I'm so old, bruh. I have no idea who none of these people are, but I'm sure they're good in their own right.
I'm guessing, Brian, that you do. I find that a lot of people that work in the business, you get so wrapped up in the projects that you're on at the moment that, like, right now I'm only listening to like the 10 releases we have coming in the next 3 weeks. And I bet Brian's like listening to whatever he needs for his current trailer that he's working on. And that's all it, because it's your business, and your business really crosses right over into your life, because that's the kind of business music is. It's sort of that music that you're working on at that moment sort of takes over.
Oh yeah. I mean, and if I'm not working on stuff, I'm literally listening to old stuff, like literally Miles or old jazz. But I do like and I want to be very clear, because there are a number of people that like, I can't stand, new stuff, blah, blah. I'm not that guy. I do listen to new stuff. I love her. PJ Morton, somebody mentioned, that dude is phenomenal. Like, I love all that kind of stuff too. Emily King arguably dropped one of the best albums this year. I don't know if you guys are hip to her. I firmly recommend. But yeah, I try to keep Kate Renata is one of my favorites. Dude is just yeah, that's it, man. Yeah, y'all know Kate Renata. He's fun. So any of that kind of stuff, any stuff in that lane, stuff that's fun and moving, and it's funny. Yeba, oh my God, whoever mentioned Yeba, she's nuts. Yeah. So, yeah, that's always a fun question. I need to clean that
I
list.
actually had a suggestion. I feel like you would really like this cat named Mono Neon. You
Okay.
probably heard of him. He literally looks like a blanket with some Funkadelic Parliament moon shoes, and he like a 6-string
Okay.
and a bass guitar, and he also has a sock on the head.
He
On the,
sounds like a Thundercat type, man. Like,
Yep, and
because
also
Thundercat be doing something like that. Yeah. And who?
Sasquatch. Like he basically creates all these different arrangements by himself with like loopers and different digital instruments and whatnot.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
dresses up like Sasquatch and plays the saxophone. It's amazing.
That's
Wow.
interesting and or terrifying.
Don't watch it
I'm
at night.
curious. Yeah, man. I mean, that's fine. But I love that kind of stuff. And the cool thing is, you guys are in a space where you can do that. You can be at home, like, man, I always like putting on these house shoes when I play, and that's your thing. And you blow up just like that. Like, I remember the first time I got hip to Jacob Collier, who, by the way, love. This dude literally made an album called In My Room because he recorded the whole thing in his room and played all the instruments, and it's insane. So yeah, y'all are in a great place, for that kind of thing. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Actually, I had a question, particularly regarding sync music, because that's what I said. I want to put all of my music in. But that first conversation with a music library, and somebody else mentioned it when it comes to talking about composers, is what is that conversation like? How are they chosen? And, are you capable of asking for a particular composer in a situation, like maybe Alan Silvestri?
Well, typically that might be more of a feature situation where they request certain people. But if I'm going to a library, they're going to put whoever they think fit whatever it is on the project. So if I reach out, and also what you should be doing as a composer, or someone who's looking to create for a library or a production company, or whatever the case may be, or freelance, whatever, figure out what these credits are from these people. If they are working with these major companies, like if you see in their credits that they've worked with Disney, and they've worked with Sony, and they've worked with Paramount, then they probably have better relationships than someone who would, that you're just not as familiar with. So that relationship thing is invaluable. That would really be the first thing I do. And a lot of libraries that we work with, you can go on there and listen to the stuff, like listen to the quality. So you can A/B your stuff, like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? And where's the sound going here that, I'm not doing? Or, oh man, I didn't think that, they made these types of albums. So yeah, it's definitely an observation kind of thing that you have to do to see what it is that which direction you want to go in.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I just had one last question, and I find
All
this
good.
to be very, very important for myself personally, especially with the conversation of mental health becoming more and more, how do you say, like a tableside conversation in opening. How do you decompress? I know it has to be stressful with all your many positions as well as your outside life. So how do you, what do you do? Do you listen to certain music?
Outside life? What's that? I'm just kidding. That's a great question, man. That's a great question. I play a lot of video games. All right. A lot. I got an 8-month-old in there, or excuse me, I'm tripping. I had a 6-month-old in there. So when she is not, when she's let me have a good day, but that's the break, is just remembering things outside of work. I love playing with her, and she's amazing. And but yeah, I am listening to music just for my own enjoyment, but I do check to see what's going on, playing game, watching TV. Typically, if you guys mention shows, I probably have watched it since I've been home. I think I've watched an ungodly amount of just television, but I can also say, hey, this is work because it's what I do. Yay. But yeah, anything I can do to just keep peace, man. Sometimes you have to just put it all down. Sometimes you have to not. Sometimes I just sit there. I don't be wanting to hear anything, really. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And I encourage everyone here to do the same. I think sometimes if you're hitting a block creatively, just put it down and come back to it. Come back to it. But I think the best stuff comes from life experiences. So you have to have that balance in there.
Thank you.
A question that was in the Q&A box is, how important has mentorship been to the success of your career?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I necessarily had full on mentors, but I've had people to just kind of deposit here and there. People that I've learned from, which I know but you just said you didn't have mentors. I didn't have like full on mentors, but I did have some really good teachers, which is why I care so much about stuff like this and about, speaking and getting as many people on board as we possibly can. But it's very key, because there will be times where you're like, I have no idea what they're talking about. I have no idea what they're saying, and you need someone that's gonna, just show you the ropes. So if you can find someone, or if you can find people that are willing to pour into you, I think right now with everything going on in the climate that we're in, a lot of people are a lot more willing to reach out and to work with you and to kind of guide you than they would be when I got in. You know what I mean? Like that's just a thing. So if you can find that, yeah, man, that'd be great.
Okay.
Mhm.
Another one was, what's the process to pitch your music to a music supervisor in order to be considered for a movie?
All right. So each process is different. When it comes to trailers, like I said, typically people will either reach out to us or they will go through, either a publisher or, a sync house or a library or whoever. So that's one way. You can either take the library route, you can go to us directly, which can be a lot tougher because, we're getting literally hundreds upon hundreds of emails all the time. And stuff can get lost in the sauce a little bit, but typically when people pitch stuff through one of those companies or whatever, we'll listen to it. Typically we like working with people that we have a better relationship with. Surprise. So when people are like, man, I got this track that you would love, it's not that I like to turn people down, but I kind of have to a little bit because I'm more likely going to work with people that understand our workflow. And, if the turnaround time, like you can't pitch stuff. By the way, guys, let me just say this. If you're pitching stuff to music supervisors and you don't even have the stuff registered with a PRO, I hope everybody in this chat, all 33 of y'all or 32 or whatever, I hope everyone is with some type of PRO. I hope you're affiliated with either an ASCAP or a BMI or a CSAC or whoever, because that is super key. But those things have to be locked in before, you come to us, because if you're trying to put the cart before the horse, it's going to go down in flames and you're going to kind of you don't want to make a bad first impression. You know what I mean? So those things are super key as well. But yeah, we work with people, but I always recommend going through one of those type situations to set up a good reputation and make a name for yourself.
All right, I think I have one last question. Let's see. What do you predict will be an in-demand skill in the future of sync?
I mean, I don't know, in-demand skill. I don't really know how I can answer that because it's hard to know where things are going. I think that all the people who are good at sync they've always had those skills. Like they've always been good at networking and meeting new people and knowing how to sell themselves. They've always been good at, organization, like I said, quick turnaround time and knowing how to get things back in a hurry. They've always not been afraid to put themselves out there. So I think those are really the keys. And just figuring out, you have to learn the process. You have to learn the industry. Some of you guys have to go to big cities where sync is a thing. You have to go to New York or you have to go to LA, and then just kind of figure it out from there. Because I know sometimes people are like, oh man, I really want to work on Disney projects, but I don't want to leave, Randomville, USA. I'm like, yo, you have to you have to make the trip, guys. Like I'm from a small city. If I wasn't from a small city, it'd be like, yo, what are you talking about? But me and everyone I know, all of my friends, I moved out here to LA because I had people who moved out here, and I'm like, man, if they can do it. One of my good friends is from North Carolina. Shout out to the A&T people. Which, by the way, I need to talk to some of the A&T people because I'm working on a project and need some stuff from people that went to A&T. So please, y'all hit me up at some point. That'd be great. But yeah, I know that probably does not answer the question at all, but I just
That was good.
it does at least.
Yes. Any last bit of advice you would like to share with anybody before we wrap up?
The one thing that I always like to say is, like I said, whatever you guys can do to remain creative during this time, please do it. You know, explore your sound, try different things. Different doesn't mean weird, by the way. Just putting that out there. All right, I'm gonna go weird. No, just different. Like if you regularly do something, try something different. And if you know that you're a hip hop person, maybe collaborate with someone who does orchestration, because then you get some super amazing stuff. What's up, Kendrick? You know what I'm saying? Like that's how stuff like that happens, you know? Collaborate. Don't be too hard on yourself. I know a lot of people pitch. A lot of y'all are probably gonna reach out to me, and I'm probably gonna take a long time to get back. But it's not because I hate you, all right? It's just because that's how it regularly is. It's always people that are reaching out, and it's not something to take personal if you begin pitching your music to these places and you don't hear anything back. Please don't take that personal. Just keep working at it and just keep doing your thing, because like I said, there are going to be so many places for you guys to get stuff placed that you will likely end up being able to land something somewhere in the future. So just keep at it. Don't give up. All the cheesy stuff. Know that your voice is needed. Your voice is incredibly needed right now. You need to be represented in a lot of these places, in a lot of these spaces, but also you have to know what you're doing. You know, you have to just learn as much as you can right now, so that you can just, when you get there, you're sure of yourself. Because I'm sure there will be some doubting periods. Full disclosure, I was that guy. When I moved out here during the recession, and I was like, oh my God, this sucks. But you know, fortunately, you know, I stuck to it, and it ended up paying off. So whoever's dealing with that, you know, just keep pushing. Don't give up. You're needed.
I want to double down on that, because it's all, half this career is about perseverance and sticking with it and just not taking no for an answer. And one person shuts the door and you go to the next door and try to get it open. I mean, it's almost a game of survival. Who can stand it the longest? And
Right.
then you end up rising to the top, because not that many people can take the pressure and the, you know, the very, very late nights for many, many years. And the fact that the career is almost, it's a lifestyle. Your social life, if you're in this business, is really tied oftentimes to your work colleagues and your peers. And it's all about sticking to it. But we need your voices, and we really, we need to better our community within film and TV. We need you guys.
Yeah. And the last thing I would say, since this is a crowd of HBCU kids, and that's my world. Know that when you get to these rooms that you are very capable of doing what it is, guys, because I think that there is a underlying mentality sometimes, even with us, that, you know, I got to go and compete with these kids from Berkeley, or, you know, compete with the SCs and the UCLAs and the Emersons. Don't worry about it. Just know that you are capable of doing what it is that you're doing. And clearly you're going to bring something different to the table. That's why, you know, you're getting calls, and that's why you're getting, you know, you're going to get these calls. Like some of y'all are going to go out here and do some amazing stuff, and I look forward to it. But just know that you can do it, guys. I promise you, because I have no idea how I pulled off half of this stuff, but I'm glad to be here, you know.
Thanks so much, Brian.
For sure.
Absolutely. Where can we actually stay connected with you? Your Instagram, your LinkedIn? How can people on here actually stay connected with you?
For sure, man. If y'all go to my Instagram, I just post pictures of the baby and cereal. So, You know, people like, what's your Insta, man? I'm like, if you like pictures of babies and cereal, then cool. I'm on there as Chad the Cool Cat, man. That's my stage name thing.
Awesome.
But LinkedIn, I'm Brian Vick. Usually I recommend LinkedIn because it's the business one or whatever. But yeah, that one I think is a little bit easier.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yes, for sure.
And thank you, Karen, for helping us organize this as well.
Well, my pleasure.
Yeah.
Brian, thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate it. And
For
Monique
sure.
and Karina, thanks for setting it all up.
Yeah. This is good.
Absolutely. Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for joining and actually coming on here. And thank you to our student leaders as well. You know, you guys did a great job. So I appreciate everyone coming on, and we will see you next week for our next coffee chat. We appreciate it.
Good stuff.
Thank you for having us.
Bye.
Guys, stay
I'll
blessed.
take it easy, guys. Be good.
Bye.
Hey,
Have
you.
a good night.
You know.
Bye.
Bye.